Hey, happy Monday, and thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'm 9 News Meteorologist Chris Bianchi. If you look at your forecast, much calmer today compared to what we had back over the weekend. We had all that kind of galoppy, heavy, wet snow. I'm going to kind of run through some of the stats behind some of that, but also, of course, look at that forecast. And for us here in Denver, it's a pretty dry week ahead. A few chances for some light rain or snow, but nothing too significant until maybe this weekend. But even this weekend, at this point, not looking all that significant. So let's start things off by taking a look outside, and this is what it looks like at I-70 near the Loveland ski area and the Eisenhower-Johnson tunnels. Traffic moving smoothly in both directions. Once again, unlike what we had this weekend with the, again, mostly blue skies up there. If you're lucky enough to be in the high country, it is a bluebird day. Now, Slider, kind of an interesting camera. First of all, gorgeous shot there. Love, love, love this camera. And Slide, of course, there on the left. Off in the distance, though, you can start to see our next storm system taking shape. There's a little bit of that high-level cloud cover. I believe this is looking west, so that would be towards the atmospheric river. You may have heard about California getting all this crazy rain and flooding, and that is some of the cloud cover from that system moving its way into the southwestern part of Colorado, so that's what we're seeing a little bit of there. Now, in Denver, nothing but blue skies overhead. We do have some patchy fog north and east, very, very patchy at this point, but that is breaking up as we speak. So those overall headlines, it's really a sunny day today. Any fog that we've got up by, say, Greeley right now, that should break up in the next hour or so. So again, fairly low impact. Mountain snow starts tomorrow, especially in our southern western mountains, and really more tomorrow night. And it's mostly dry in Denver this week for us with, again, I'll show you on the 7-day forecast some rain, snow chances, but they're really insignificant. It's not until the weekend that we got a chance for a kind of meaningful snow, but at this point, even that's not looking all that great. Visibility right now, pretty clear visibility across the Front Range metro area, unlike yesterday morning when we dealt with all that fog. It was a foggy yesterday morning, but Greeley we've had on again, off again fog. That's what we're seeing out there on the banks of the South Platte. Temperatures right now, 20s, 30s for the most part in the eastern plains, mostly in the 20s and 30s in the high country as well. In fact, some pretty warm temperatures right now, 41 in Grand Junction, 44 in Cortez. Starting to get a bit of that southwesterly flow aloft. That is out ahead of that storm system. So as mentioned, all that California rain, the Salida camera, and seeing some of that high-level cloud cover. The moisture source and the wind direction is a southerly and westerly component to the wind, which means we're getting so much warmer winds into the picture, and that's why it's so warm in that part of the state compared to other parts of Colorado. Today, we'll top at around 50 degrees for us here in Denver, here in town. Again, any fog that we've got should break up in the next hour or so. Starting to see that lift, even again in some of those places that were foggy throughout the morning. That is lifting as we speak. Highs today, 40s, 50s. For a bit of context, average high for today is 45, so we'll be a few degrees above that, 30s, 40s into the high country. HD Doppler radar, by the way, revealing all that fresh snowpack. That what you're seeing across most of the state, that is not actually snow. This is the satellite beam picking up the high albedo. There's a high reflectivity to snow. Same reason why when you step outside, you always need sunglasses right after it snows, right? You know what I'm talking about? Same thing with the satellite. Satellite kind of needs sunglasses, but what it's picking up is all that fresh snow that we picked up over the weekend. And you can see that kind of snow bowl there in the Denver area, but we're going to melt off a lot of that snow pretty quickly. You look off to our south and west, and notice that kind of narrow line. You may have heard of the term Pineapple Express or atmospheric river. This is that kind of setup where in Southern California we're just tapping into deep tropical moisture from our south and our west, and that's why we're just funneling all this heavy rain and snow, just crazy amounts of rain in the LA basin. I think we've gotten some, 6, 7, 8 inches of rain in parts of the LA area. For context, they only average about 14, 15 inches of rain a year, similar to what we get here in Denver. So imagine if we got 6, 7, 8 inches of rain here in Denver, what that would do. That's what they're getting in LA right now, and that's why it's such a big problem out there. But we're only going to get some mountain snow out of that system. We're not really going to see a ton of precipitation here on the I-25 corridor as a result of that. Winter storm watch, 1 to 2 feet of snow and 50-mile-an-hour winds for the southwestern mountains. Now, this is in association with that. That atmospheric river is going to eventually kind of spin east and kind of spin into a low, and that'll eventually work its way into the San Juans and the San Cristos, and even on up to, say, Battlement Mesa. We're going to get some of that snow as well. I'll say this. These sorts of systems, if you're a powder chaser, you love your snow, you got to go down to Wolf Creek or maybe Crested Butte. This smells like an overperformer for one of those two mountains. The west-southwest flow tends to favor those areas, and this is what we're looking at here. So just wouldn't be surprised if Wolf Creek comes in with, say, something crazy like 25, 30 inches the next couple days. This is that kind of storm. Wolf Creek tends to do really well in these sorts of systems. That said, if you're heading over Wolf Creek Pass, Red Mountain Pass, this is going to be a rough ride for us here over the next couple of days. So if you need to drive, try and get that done today or tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon, things go downhill into the high country. And also notice those 50-mile-an-hour winds. That will make travel extra difficult. So high country. Clouds increase for today, and then it's not until tomorrow morning that we start to see that snow really develop for us into those higher elevations. For tonight here in Denver, 31 degrees. It's seasonal, and for tomorrow, we'll see some clouds increase for us here in town. Highs in the mid-50s for us. So still fairly mild for this time of year, but those clouds probably keep us from getting to about the 60-degree marker. If we can keep that sunshine up throughout the morning hours, I think we will make a run at 60, but most likely, we stay in the mid-50s. But again, if we end up at 60s, because we are sunny at this time tomorrow morning. So, next storm system. This is going to funnel in all that moisture from the atmospheric river. It's going to really kind of concentrate that snow into our southern and western mountains. San Juan, Sangre de Cristos, Battlement Mesa, even on up into the flat tops, we're going to get some of that snow, and the West Elk, so Aspen, Crested Butte. Again, I know that Crested Butte and Gunnison County not under a winter storm watch right now, but I do think that you'll eventually get put under one. Just again, this is the kind of storm system that, as it lifts north, will favor some of those central mountains eventually as well. The I-70, Summit County mountains on north through the parks, the Medicine Bow ranges, we'll get some snow, but it's not going to really be a big storm for them, and it's only going to be a few inches, mainly Wednesday night and Thursday morning, and then by Thursday we start to kind of finally wind down all that snow for us in the high country. But some spots in the southwestern mountains, not quite snorkel snow, but this is a solid medium-sized storm, I would say. Usually 1 to 2 feet of snow is a medium-sized storm. 2 feet or above, that's a big one. And somebody in the southwestern mountains, mentioned Wolf Creek, somebody in the San Juan is probably going to get a pretty good storm out of this one, maybe 2 feet plus. But I think for most of us in the central and southern mountains, this is going to be just a good, healthy storm, help pick up some of that snowpack. And speaking of which, right now, snowpack is about 91% of its season-to-date average statewide, but notice we could use some in particular in our southern mountains. This next storm is going to really kind of favor these southwestern mountains. So this is good news. This is really a good news storm. As long as you don't have to travel through the mountains, should just lead to a lot of kind of fresh powder in the part of the state that needs it the most. And this is overall just, again, good news, at least from my perspective as a meteorologist. 7-day forecast. Temperatures mostly on the mild side for the next few days. You see that rain for us in Denver. It's a very light rain chance. This is really not that big of a deal in terms of what we're expecting for Wednesday or Thursday. I know there's a lot of kind of raindrops and snowflakes on your screen. The only thing I would highlight would be on Saturday and Sunday. I think if we see something on Wednesday night, it's just a few raindrops. It's just not that big of a deal. Saturday night, we have the potential. The computer model's really differing right now. I'll kind of jump ahead here and show you what we can expect for Saturday, Sunday, but it looks like one of the computer models, the American GFS computer forecast model, has a fairly decent storm with maybe 3, 4, 5 inches worth of snow for us for Saturday night into Sunday morning. But the European model, which tends to perform a little better this far out, has basically nothing, just a few flakes for us in town for Saturday night and Sunday. And so at this point, I wouldn't expect a whole lot for us here in town from that next storm system. And finally, I'm going to leave you with this. So far this year in Denver, thanks to this weekend, we picked up about 3/4 of an inch of liquid from Saturday's storm alone. That makes it now our 10th wettest start to a calendar year on record for us here in Denver, and our wettest start to a year since 1989. And a couple more numbers about that. In Fort Collins, this is your wettest start to a year on record. You picked up about 1.5 inches of liquid, which is a stunning number back over the weekend. Boulder, you had your wettest winter day on record on Saturday, and this is now your second wettest start to a calendar year on record. Now, granted, it's only February the 5th, so you obviously take that with a grain of salt, and it's all basically due to one storm. But just putting that in perspective, but what we saw over the weekend, that was an April storm that we picked up at the beginning of February. So a very unusual storm for a number of reasons, but it certainly led to quite a bit of water for us here along the Front Range. and certainly some pretty decent snowfall totals. I know Morrison, Golden, some of those areas, 15, 16, 17, 18 inches worth of snowfall on the west side of the metro area. Downtown, officially we've had 5.5 inches at the airport. Here we also picked about 5-6 inches for us from that storm. So it was a pretty good one over the weekend. Not expecting that for this upcoming weekend, but we'll probably get a bit more snow. And final stat I will leave you with, we have picked up 77% of our snow so far this season. All the snow, we've picked about 21 inches of snow so far this year in Denver officially. 77% of that has come on Saturdays. So for whatever reason, Mother Nature has a thing for Saturdays this season. You might remember last year's Wednesdays. This year, for whatever reason, seems to be on Saturdays. So leave you with that. In the meantime, I'll have more for you coming up at 9 News at noon. And also, we'll have more details for you coming up later on this evening with Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin in at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. Once again, I'm 9 News Meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus. Have a great rest of your Monday.